Okay, good morning, everyone. So today we are learning about the introduction of design research. This is the part one. And how are you, everyone? We know that we are already having a great holiday. So I hope after we spend our refreshing time, our holiday, in this time we are going to learn about the introduction of designing. So we are continuing our material. So when talking about designing research, first we need to learn these two objectives. First, we will learn about how to describe the basics of writing research paper and the research life cycle. And the second one is we are learning to select the research topic, literature, and writing strategies used in this project. So this is our outline. We will learn about the structure and organizations, and then the research standard structure of a scientific paper, and then we are learning about the template of the writing, the introduction, and then the three phase of introduction by Swells, common pitfalls in writing an introduction, and then the methodology and the common pitfalls in writing a methodology. So talking about structure and organizations, writing is inherently a creative process. So we write our idea, we write it in our writing. So usually scientists are not thinking of themselves as a qualified readers. Why? Because they try to write both intimidating and arduous. It means that scientists usually not to learn, they not explore it very well, but they tend to only write the writing. So there is a formula for how to structure and organize a scientific paper. The formula is we need to know best the science and worry less about the writing. Because of if we're not ready, we lack of knowledge about our topics, we cannot write it because it's not valid. So we need to know the best and worry less about the writing. So by the template of the scientific paper, usually using IMRAT. It's called IMRAT: Introduction, Methodology, Result and Discussion, and also Conclusions. So these four templates or these 4 points usually being used in writing a research paper. So the first one is introduction. So what is introduction? Introduction is a standard theoretic, or usually it contains of what or so what. So it explains of what or so what in this paper. What is in this paper is are going to tell us the topic. Okay, introduction should inform the reader as to what the paper is about, to motivate the reader also to continue reading. So in this part, it's really crucial because when we not introducing the topic very well, when readers read it, it not they not understand and not motivate to continue the reading. So there are 4 criteria when we are talking about the scientific journal. The first one is the content of the paper. So we need to watch the scope of the paper, of the journal. So we need to determine the scope of our research. The second one is the quality of the paper. The quality of the paper means that we need to explain the methodology of this paper, how we execute this research. Okay, and this is quite important. So several papers they're not explaining on how they produce this research, how they use the model, how they use the methodology. They don't explain it, and it make readers cannot understand and cannot uh, understand how to execute this research. When we writing the introduction, we must help readers to understand so they can reproduce it, so they can execute it. They can do the same thing like the researchers do. Okay. The third one is it must present novel results. Now, in this part, we just mention what is the result of this research, but not in detailed way. So we just mention it. For example, our research is going to know the accuracy, know the prediction, but we don't have the accurate data. because we haven't do the we haven't do the experiment, but we mention it to make sure, oh, this research, this experiment is going to produce this output. So we need to present the novel result. We must mention it, the result, but in a brief way. Okay, so we can see that with the exception of review papers. Okay, the fourth one, the result must be significant enough to be worth reading. What does it mean? When the result, when we tell this the result to the readers, not in worth it reading, it means that the result is not good, it's not interesting. So, when readers read our paper, they usually want to know what is the difference with the other experiment, what is the difference with the other research. So we must have the good reading. We must have a good explanation of our result. So when readers read our paper, that it will be worth reading. Okay. Now, there are three phases by introduction by Swells. Okay, the first one is establish a territory. It means establish a territory is mean that we need to explain the important the field of our research. The scope of our research is really important. Okay. The second one is establish a niche. In this phase, in this process, we will indicate a gap, raise a questions, or challenge prior work in our territory. So the previous research with our research, it will have a gap different because it will have a gap and it will have questions. Sometimes in the previous research, we will have questions why this can be happen, or we can a little bit improvisations there. So it will have differences between the previous researches and with our researches. The third one is occupy the niche. Occupy the niche means it means that we need to outline the purposes. We need to announce the present research, optionally summarize the result, and optional is summarize the result. It means that we need to outline the purposes in our researches. We need to mention the present research is where is the way, where is going to our research. And the last one is we can summarize our research, but it is optional. The common pitfalls in writing an introduction is providing unnecessary background information. Why? Sometimes when reader read our paper, it contains of unnecessary informations. Reader, they do not want to know, but as a writer, we provide with unnecessary background information, so it will be useless. The second one is exaggerating the importance of the work or failing to make clear what the research question is paper is trying to answer. So what I said before, what I explained before, in introduction is really important that we mention our purposes on this research. So we need to clearly state it. What are our paper try to explain in this paper? What are the research we are going to explain? What is the importance of this research? It's really important because if there is no explanation in clear way, this paper will be failed. Okay, I think that's all about the writing the introduction. Is there any questions?